Welcome to David's Life and Observation with your host, David Welch. Today is a pretty crazy day. I mean, we didn't see much last night in the way of protests, at least here in Arizona. Across the nation, we do see a lot of protests. We see shit going down in every state, every city, while my cats are fighting. Anyways, we saw an ultimate fucking beast of a dude in Grand Rapids, Michigan. Not only did he get pepper sprayed for no reason, he got a gas canister to the face for no reason. And still stood. And I say for no reason because the guy was unarmed and all he did was merely walk to have a conversation with law enforcement and got pepper sprayed, which I think is OC spray, which is much, much more painful. And then he got gas can to the face. Those projectiles come out super fucking fast. And they're super painful. And the guy was like 5 feet away, 4 feet away from the guy that shot him. Beast. But where's the accountability in that? Where's the accountability for those officers shooting people in the face with a gas canister at near point blank range? Or pepper spraying somebody who's, what, verbally combative? Maybe? All the officers involved in the incident in Buffalo, New York, and they're only suspending 2 officers who pushed the elderly man down, and the guy had blood coming out of his ears, and they merely just got suspended. Like, what? That's attempted murder. Then they tried saying on a report that he tripped. Mind you, it's on video. Clearly didn't trip. He was shoved by 3 officers, not 2, 3. We have a scene in Salt Lake where an elderly person with a cane, not walking fast enough, according to the Gestapo SS soldiers that are out there, and he was shoved to the ground for not moving fast enough. Are you starting to see a pattern here, folks? The United States is fed up with officers like this. I mean, are they doing riot control just to weed out those bad apples? Is this like the mentality of, let's see who fucks up first and then we'll go after them? No. You'd have to get rid of whole departments. You got whole departments full of people covering up their badge numbers, covering up their name tapes, covering up any identifying marker. They don't even wear their rank, and if they do have a rank, they're covering that shit up because they don't want to be identified. That's criminal. That's terrorist. You got National Guardsmen taking off their name and rank. Like, when the fuck was that allowed? Couldn't even do that in Iraq and Afghanistan. When the fuck was that allowed? Yo, having served in the military, can't say never. Did see it when we were doing VBSS. And it wasn't even the rank that was taken off, it was the name. And that was for policing purposes with people that are going to go into the American jail system, who have connects to the cartels. So there was genuine fear for that, but we don't have. I thought we had a country of morals, laws, accountability, but we don't. We have accountability for everyone else, but the ruling class, the elite class, and law enforcement, and anybody in the justice system. Judges, prosecutors. It's insane to me how folks aren't at their door every morning beating down the door and hanging them high. That's amazing. That's amazing that these punk cops get to go home every day and not receive any sort of opposition. But I have seen some positive things. We're starting to get wise to the fact that we can't engage law enforcement regularly on the streets because that shit was obviously didn't work in the American Revolutionary War. You can't take on the redcoats head on. They're more heavily armed and organized. So we have to take the battle to the streets, inside homes. And it's going to be a war of attrition. We just got to wear them down enough to where they give up. We have to wear them down enough and hit them where it hurts at home. Like, the British had the ability to take their ships and go away. These American cops don't have that ability. They can't just jump in a vehicle and just go away. It doesn't work like that. As long as they're on our soil, we can find them. And I would encourage people to do so. I would encourage people who, are serious about this movement to go out there, not just with a camera, but go out there armed. Why are you allowing these goons to, engage you, on the street without having them checked? They need to be checked. As soon as they go for their firearm, they should be shot. Because they're brandishing weapons. They're shooting people with rubber bullets for no reason. That video from Minneapolis, and there are a contingent of people out there that think that shit's okay. Where, they violated curfew, so they deserved the rubber bullets to the face as they were on private property, standing from their own home and just filming, committing no crime. The curfew says you need to be on your property. The curfew did not say you had to be indoors. They were on their property. And they were filming. And they're filming because this is shit's going to go down in history as the turning point for the United States to say, you know what? Local law enforcement entities are the biggest terrorist group in the United States. The governor wields power to reinforce the largest terroristic groups in America with National Guardsmen who literally just want a paycheck. These guys, for some reason, have no thought process of their own to say, hey, if you're a commander in the National Guard and you get activated to quell the uprising in your streets, you should have a heart check to say, why are our people pissed? And why am I going to side with the idiots who are going around choking people to death, pulling people out of vehicles, shooting people in the hotel rooms, knocking down the elderly? Why would you support that person and not the people on the streets that are being victimized? That's where I don't understand. And for those National Guardsmen that are out there and they're not doing shit and they're not upholding their oath to the Constitution, shame on you guys. You deserve to die with the cops. When you guys get shot and fucked up, I'm not going to cry for you. You guys deserve all the bad shit that's going to happen, all the bad shit that's going to bestow your family, all the bad shit that's going to happen to your friends. You deserve it because you're fighting on the wrong side of history. History is going to show, especially the more draconian we're going to get, because this is a litmus test for you fuckers that don't understand. This is a test to see how far they can go towards martial law and poke and prod the giant, which is the American people. And there are a lot of fucking people absolutely okay with this because they blindly follow the state no matter what happens. They blindly, follow the boys in blue because for some reason they have this fictitious idea that blue lives matter. First off, these motherfuckers aren't even blue. They're black, white, Hispanic, Asian, all sorts of colors, right? It's a profession. That profession does not matter. I'm sorry, they don't matter. If a profession becomes terroristic in nature and what they do is harmful to the American people, I agree with many city councils out there that say, hey, no, let's go ahead and rewrite the whole script. Let's abolish our contract with the PD. Let's fire everyone. Everyone. Fuck their pensions. Fuck their contracts. Fire all of them because they voided their contract with the American people and their city. So they will lose in court. There's no standing for what they do. And every department around there should blacklist all of those cops. So we need a rewrite on many departments, Minneapolis being one of them. The sheriff's department in Florida that rehires murderous cops or cops that are too coward enough to go into a school, they rehire people like that. And they give them full pension and benefits. Like, wait the fuck a minute. Dude was too scared to go into a school to face a mass shooter who's killing children. That dude does not need to be in law enforcement. He's a coward. And I get the whole idea of waiting for backup, but you had 3 officers on scene doing nothing. One guy got singled out for it, but there were 3. Let's go to modern events. What's going on today, tomorrow? Um, this is where people get me fucked up. Is they think just because there aren't a lot of veterans out there or a lot more people out there, they think that those people aren't in agreement with the people that are out there. It's just that their priority is making money for their families, or their priority is, hey, nobody. I would love to go protesting. I'd love to go marching and shit, but I need somebody to watch my kids, and I can't trust anybody but myself and my wife or my spouse to watch my kids. There's real people out there that back you 100%, and they're sharing their voice online. So it's not like, I would say the ratio would be like 110% support. Well, I wouldn't even go that far. I'd say about 90% support online, 50% support, 60% support when you're talking to people in the streets, and a good 30% of the population out there that can march, that can protest, are out there. And you still see it. You still see like agent provocateurs in every march, every protest. You see it, and they're the ones like pushing the bricks, like, hey, here's a brick, or hey, throw this Molotov cocktail. They're agent provocateurs. They have earpieces, they have vests, they have a firearm on them, they have cuffs. Like, if you cannot recognize an agent provocateur for what they are and who they are, then it's a shame on the protest leaders to not recognize and weed out those individuals. But I understand. I do understand. Because when you're so focused on your mission and your goal that you fail to realize that you've been infiltrated because there's so many pissed off people, it's understandable that you don't always recognize them. What's unforgivable, though, is allowing them to make a peaceful protest a riot by doing dirt and being allowed to get away with it. And we've seen instances where, there was an Antifa guy. I can't remember where he was marching, but he was trying to break up the road with a hammer. He got yoked up by other protesters because, one, that's not cool. That's destruction of property, and that's the people's property he was destroying, not his property, not law enforcement agencies, vehicles and stuff, which is still people's property. So when people burn like police cars, I'm like, you guys are literally burning your own money. But there are advances being made too. So we do have police departments out there that are listening. We have city councils out there that are listening, who are like, hey, the LA County Sheriff's Department, or you got the LAPD, who have such a monstrous budget, a $1.8 billion budget to handle lawsuits and stuff, because there's so many. They're like, well, why don't we just take that money from them, and they have to dig into their own coffers to deal with lawsuits? Like, holy shit! I bet you their whole like process changes when you take away their budget and their ability to be safe from lawsuit. You take away their budget to be safe from the lawsuits as well, and they don't have this budget issue where they can say, maybe we can eat this lawsuit and just retrain some of the officers. No, they will out and out change their entire policing practice, because they cannot afford to take so many big hits. And if the guard is off to sue law enforcement, like if you remove qualified immunity and people are allowed to sue them at a very advanced rate, you're going to see the whole tide turn. You're going to see the return of happy officers. You're going to see the return of those guys who are policing for the right reasons and in those roles. You got guys that are policing for all the wrong reasons. They're middle-aged white males that hate their lives. They don't train. They don't. They have something negative to say, and their whole mission is to release their fury on unsuspecting people every day in their community. Like, their whole mission is to go out and fuck people up and kick in doors. And, like, yo, if you wake up with that mentality of fucking up your community and not protecting citizens, I do laud the police when they bust a meth lab. Great on you. I do laud the police when they save people from burning buildings, or they do something that's not stupid and fucked up. But when you're at a gas station, you're pulling over a black man because you're racial profiling a guy, and then you turn around and arrest a guy who's just merely cursing, you don't deserve a badge. You don't deserve to be in law enforcement. Turn in your badge and go the fuck home. And not only that, like, if you're arresting people and you're violating people's rights, and even if you think you're right, that should have severe fucking consequences. Like, you don't get to go home that night. You get put in cuffs just like anybody else would. And then you get put in a cell right there on site. And you should stay there until you're prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. That's how that should work. None of this, oh man, I got to do 90 days of vacation and get my affairs in order, while anyone else on the street would just be locked away. Even if they could afford bond, the bond's set so high that it would be impossible for them to get out. Well, this is your first offense, and, well, we're just going to set it $1 million bond. And you're sitting there like, holy shit. You're absolutely insane with setting bonds so high. And these bondsmen love it. They're like, dude, no way are they going to pay that. Or if they do pay it, that person's they're not going to evade. And if they do evade, just imagine the bounty. It's insane. It's a corrupt system. And you know what feeds into this system? You know who feeds into the system? CPS workers. CPS workers are not under enough scrutiny. Absolutely not. And they've sort of disappeared. So is COVID during this whole thing. COVID's like, well, the numbers are increasing in some areas. I'm like, really? Are they? Let's get the truth. Like, nobody's even allowed on hospital grounds to really get the truth. You get random doctors that are coming out and interviewing. But there's no hidden camera going in and calling it for what it is. Stop fighting. Stupid cats. Ugh. Cats fighting for no reason. That's what they do in the morning. Every morning they gotta fight. Anyways. But yeah, so when it comes to just following the money, getting after the real dirt, people are reporting COVID for the paycheck. And 99% of the time, there's no accountability to check on that. Like, the hospitals have no accountability. CPS has very little accountability. The only time they have accountability is when families and hundreds of thousands of people make an issue about their practice. And only then do they even get investigated. It's going to take, you know what it's going to take? It's going to take CPS workers dying in droves and getting shot by people protecting their families in order for people to wake up enough to realize that they are terrorists, that they're lying profusely on documentation to steal children from parents, from grandparents, from aunts and uncles who are doing everything they can to take care of and discipline that child. Now, do people go overboard? Do people not really need their kids because they are not stable human beings, mentally, physically, too many addictions, whatever the case is? Yes, that does exist, but I would argue that is actually not even most of their cases. I would actually argue that it's a small percentage of their cases that come to find out that that's actually true. You have people languishing in the system because they can actually pay. Like, the people they target are families that are not actually in jeopardy, but there's the accusation. They get an accusation from a Karen. Now, Karens don't just call on black people. Karens call on anybody that doesn't seem to jive with their current understanding of the world. Like, if you're a parent, this happened to me. if you're a parent and you're trying to take care of your kids and you're having a rough day with them, they're being little a-holes, and you're like, anybody want to buy a kid? Anybody, just being facetious and having a joke and being jocular about that. We had a Karen get super Karen-ish, and then she went on her own recon where she not only lied to law enforcement and said my daughter's teeth were black, which they weren't, and she had just been seen by a dentist. She went on to say that my kids are addicted to Starbucks, which is not even close to true. They don't drink coffee. The only thing they get at Starbucks is little whipped cream, little cups, and the poppers, the little round donut hole type things. That's it. That's it. My wife and I, if we have an addiction to Starbucks, that's on us. Anyways, what I'm saying is that Karen not only lied about that, saying that I was trying to sell my children, but she went on to say that we left our children up in our room for hours without supervision. Mind you, that wasn't the case, because I was downstairs helping the movers move in, and my wife was upstairs putting together my desk for me that we just bought. She spent hours in the room with my toddlers putting together this desk for me, putting together my chair, my new gaming chair, my whole setup. Like my whole setup, she was freaking hero of mine, just knocking it out. After just having a child and being a service member. So it was like, Mind you, nothing ever happened to this Karen. The CPS came over. They determined, hey, there's nothing going on here. Kids are fat and healthy. Their shot records, everything was up to date. Literally nothing going. Had a great relationship. My kids love me. So it's hilarious that happened. But it happened, and then from regular civilian CPS, we had nothing. But from the military CPS, so the military takes another layer of shit, and they add it to you because that person is a soldier, and there was the accusation, and the Karen knew this. So we had to undergo 6 months of scrutiny and 6 months of bringing our children to the base medical facility for evaluation. And then every time we did that, everything was good to go. Shots were always up to date. The psychological evaluations proved that absolutely nothing was untoward. So it's like, my wife and I were subjected to a battery of tests only to prove that Karen was lying, that Karen was false in her accusation. And we had people coming over to our house all the time. Oh, can we look at the kids? Or, hey, can we do a walkthrough? Mind you, this is on a military base where the commander, if he wanted to, could do an inspection on your house every day on base. So it was in good order.
I want to watch your phone.
You want to watch my phone, buddy? All right, I'll get you a phone in just a minute. Okay, can you give me 1 minute?
Was something in the diaper?
All right, I'll help you. Anyways, thank you for tuning in to David's Life and Observation with your host, David Welch. Get out there and make shit happen this weekend. Let's get out there and protest. And for those who are going out there armed, I would encourage you to do so. So stay safe. Get people on your side. Go out there in numbers. Film everything.